Hi! Today I'm going to be talking about renewable energy resources. First of all, what is a renewable energy resource? It's something that creates energy for us to use, and it will never run out. These resources are thought to be more environmentally friendly on the whole, but sometimes it can cost a lot of money to set up the facilities that will be able to generate the energy. There are other non-renewable energy resources too, like fossil fuels, but once we use these up, they're gone forever, and they usually have harmful effects on the environment. Now, let's take a look at the different types of renewable energy resources. There's solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, biomass and wood. We get solar energy from sunlight and capture it in solar panels which convert the sunlight into electricity. One advantage is that this is a potentially infinite energy supply. The sun will be here as long as we live. Also, it means that individual buildings can have their own electricity supply. A disadvantage is that it's really expensive to get solar panels installed, and the amount of money you spend may not mean you're actually saving money in the long term, as the payback time is so long. Also, the sun isn't always shining, especially not in this country, so it would only be worthwhile in countries where it's hot and sunny for most of the year. We get wind energy from the wind. We have huge, ugly wind turbines that convert wind energy into electricity. An advantage is that usually you will find lots of wind turbines together in what's called a wind farm. By having them all close together, you can generate more energy from one place, which has more of an impact than single turbines dotted around the countryside. Also, like the sun, wind is potentially an infinite energy supply. However, the manufacturing and implementation of wind farms can be very costly. Also, there are a fair amount of people who would argue that the monstrous wind-making machines spoil the beautiful countryside. But the question is, are we prepared to sacrifice the landscape in order to help our planet? We get tidal energy from waves in the sea. Sometimes wind turbines that are in the sea, rather than in the countryside, are powered by the movement of the tide. A tidal barrage, which is a type of dam, is built across estuaries and forces the water to go through the gaps. This is a really good idea for islands such as the UK, and they have the potential to generate a lot of energy. Another advantage is that tidal barrages can also act as bridges, and they help prevent flooding. On the other hand, tidal barrages are expensive to construct. There are other problems too. For example, building such a barrier could make it hard for sewage to flow out to sea. Also, there aren't that many estuaries that could make the cut. They're not all suitable. We get geothermal energy from the natural heat of the earth in volcanic areas. What happens is, cold water is pumped under the ground and comes out of the ground as steam. This steam is used to make electricity. Again, the main advantage is that geothermal energy is potentially infinite. After all, we're just using the heat from the ground. And we know this works because it's a successful technique in countries like New Zealand and Iceland. A disadvantage is the cost of setting up the facilities, and also it only works in volcanic areas where there's actual volcanic activity. This means that it's a very dangerous process, especially as there are some hazardous elements in the ground that have to be removed carefully so that the cold water can be pumped through. Those are the main resources we think about when we refer to renewable energy, but there are two others that are slightly different: biomass and wood. Biomass is from decaying plants and animal waste. It's an organic material, and when we burn it, we can get heat energy or electricity. It's good because it's cheap and readily available, as well as being a long-term sustainable energy source if replaced. The bad thing is that when it's burned, it gives off greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. However, biofuels are said to be carbon neutral because the amount of carbon dioxide taken in by plants that replace the ones being burned compensates for the gas released into the atmosphere. Wood, as you can guess, is obtained from trees, and when we burn it, we can generate heat and light. Like biomass, it's cheap and readily available, and is a long-term sustainable energy source. But when the wood is burnt, or if deforestation takes place, harmful greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere. The thing about biomass and wood is that it's only a renewable resource if crops, in the case of biomass, or trees in the case of wood, are replanted. Otherwise, they're non-renewable, because if we don't plant any more to replace the ones we use, they'll run out eventually. So now you know the difference between non-renewable and renewable energy resources, a little bit about how we obtain the renewable ones, and the advantages and disadvantages. Thank you for watching!